I want to look at some of the challenges. Just in the last week, we had the announcement of some 4,000 plus new settlements, including quite a lot of that number happening in far-flung regions of the central West Bank in areas that are inconsistent with the goal of a future resolution based on two states. And we have Joe Biden visiting the region, reportedly set to visit the region at the end of June. Shira, I'll go to you because you mentioned the no surprises. Was this a surprise? How is the U.S. navigating its relationship with Israel with regard to this bizarre constellation of a government that is, looking leftwards at times, looking rightwards at times to give sort of, to placate all of the political cards while at the same time trying to navigate the United States and its desires on the Palestinian issue?
So let's start with the end of your question. I think for a long time, this government, for 11 months, they have not approved any settlement construction. Haven't been discussions. And some of us, I think, Neri, we were in a conversation together when we spoke about it over the phone, thought, could this backfire? Could not doing anything, and obviously I'm in support of halting settlement construction altogether, but could this, in the current constellation, could it backfire? And I think it did. It did in this case. So this was a policy led by Benny Gantz, the defense minister. And at one point, there was a pull to the right, obviously, because of changes in the, there's again, the threat of elections, and the prime minister really has to sort of break to the right again, and with pressure from his coalition members. And all of a sudden, instead of saying like a little drip of settlement construction, we've seen this announcement came, the number was 4,000 something, and this is less than what could have been, right? And this is also marketed as, oh, you see, because of American involvement, we reduced the number. Mm-hmm. I don't think it was a complete surprise. There was obviously involvement before, and this is how they got to a smaller number. But I think, and this goes to my previous comment, you ask U.S. officials about this, and they say, well, we have principles, right? From the U.S. perspective, we need to build high and not to the sides. You don't take more land. It's like, who did you communicate this in Israel? Oh, they don't understand us. Well, I'm sorry the ambassador left, but he literally wrote the book. I mean, there's someone here in Washington, in their backyard. They can convey these messages. Yeah. Or they can develop a policy together. The focus on the numbers is not right? And this is where I think a more constructive dialogue with a more strategic aim on the U.S. side could also solve these problems. And we haven't seen it in this case. Obviously, with everything that's happening, who remembers even an announcement on settlements? It came with a few other sweeteners for the right side of the political map, and obviously with the violence on the other side. This all just bodes web. I was surprised that the ambassador said we're not doing anything detrimental that could close the window on a two-state solution. And I would argue that the settlement construction announcement is actually one of these steps.
Yeah. Yeah. Although it should be worth noting that with some of the U.S. engagement with the Israelis, we have seen some of the most problematic developments in and around Jerusalem that have found their way to magically be stalled for an indefinite period of time. Right.
But maybe instead of just intervening in real time and postponing them and finding very creative ways of not having the regional council convene, just have a policy. We've seen administrations that did this before.
Yeah.